So when you guys are manifesting your specific person, self-awareness is super important because it all ties into your thoughts, your mindset. That's what's creating the end result. So if you've been visualizing, affirming, ticking those methods off the list, and you still feel like something's missing or it's not clicking for you, you haven't experienced loads of movement, you're just not at the place you want to be with your specific person right now, first of all, that's completely fine. But this video is going to be all about the one specific belief and maybe those little hidden truths that we aren't aware of and maybe don't pick up on. And we're going to delve into that and explain how to unblock all of that and get your SP. So it's not that you're manifesting wrong. It's probably a chance that you're just not aligning with the version of you who has it. So we're going to get into that and what exactly all of that means. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to any new viewers. It's scalding hot today, so we're gonna power through this video. I am all done up. I didn't film anything here, but I am headed out soon, but I'm in a really good energy. So let's keep this energy up for the rest of the video, talking about you and your specific person, because you are already together. That is the mindset to have. So before we jump into this topic, on screen will be all the info to work with me. If you have questions about your SP that maybe are not addressed in this video, or you want to delve deeper personally, please do not leave in the comments. That will not get addressed. I offer specialized coaching support, one-to-one help, even an affordable membership. So you can sign up just for 1 month and submit those questions into the Q&A. But it's also possible, all my free social content, if you watch through it, it does have the answers you might be seeking. So everything will be on screen and in the description box. And now let's jump into the video. So the chances are you might still be aligning with and being the version of you who is manifesting. So you are physically that version, of course. There's nothing wrong with that. The act of conscious manifesting is how you create the result, but you're aligning with it. You're thinking as that version. You are still in the state of creating, manifesting. I'm working towards it. You know, maybe there's movement with SP, those kind of thoughts where you're saying, you know, not even fully, which is even worse. You might be saying, well, maybe this is happening. I wonder if movement's happening. At least be affirming it and saying, you know, I'm on the way. I'm making progress. SP is conforming. You know, I'm making progress every day. I'm putting in the effort. At least think from that element. But if you are stuck in this idea of, well, I'm looping affirmations, why isn't it happening? Why hasn't SP texted yet? You know, I've been visualizing every single day. Does this work? When you get into that doubting mindset of, you know, questioning what's going on and saying because you haven't seen the result, it's not even, you know, necessarily that you're looking externally, but you're saying the result isn't here yet. You know, and then you start to question and unravel things a bit. But also the idea that you're still manifesting. Those are little moments that you could, you know, work to shift around. And instead of saying, oh, I'm manifesting SP, I'm, you know, working towards it, you know, eventually SP will conform and be the version I want. No, they are that version right now. Don't delay it to the future. Don't try and apply logic here. Keep reminding your mind what your reality is, because that's what's going to get reflected. Another element that people do tend to fall into, and it's fine, but you want to pick up on it and shift it around where you can and however often you can, is checking your 3D reality. This is an ongoing reminder, I think, that we all need sometimes for any manifestation, but also, you know, with your specific person. Checking the 3D, it's going to mentally anchor you to the version of you, again, who doesn't yet have it, who is looking for validation, who's putting the power externally when you're the one in control. You need to remind yourself of that, learn it, memorize it, tell yourself that, like, give yourself the pep talk that you need. And I'm going to tie this into self-concept a little bit later in the video as well, but you are already the version who has them. You don't need to look externally. You don't need the 3D to tell you what are the facts. Your mind always has, even in the negative state, decided what the truth is, how you feel, what your reality looks like. So why change that around now? Keep focusing internally. Don't question what's going on externally, because it's chance that it's still actually just reflecting the old story. Also, if you keep, you know, verbally, as in your thoughts or in conversation or whatever it may be, reminding yourself that you want them, you want the relationship, you want your SP, you're craving it, you're desiring it, you're looking at, you know, you have a feeling of longing, you know, when you see it externally with other people, that is not anchoring you and not focusing your mindset on where you want to be. So instead of, you know, looking to other people, feeling sad, feeling sorry for yourself, say, I have that. I love that me and SP have that. Or you can say, even just, you know, this is a sign, it's a bird before land, which it probably is. If you're seeing happy couples, you know, chances are it's a bird before land that your external reality has started to reflect what you are focusing on internally. Even if it's not yet you fully experiencing it, you are holding on to a state of wanting. If you think that way, it's keeping you in lack. It's not bad necessarily, and it's pretty natural, but it is something to be aware of and try to shift around where you can. Build on it day by day. It probably won't happen overnight, that's fine. Rome wasn't built in a day. But the state of wanting, of desiring, of hoping, that's not telling your mind that you have it. That's not focusing on the end result, and it doesn't align with your affirmations, right? So remember that it's your mental state that is mirrored back by your reality. If you want a quantum shift, if you want to shift your physical reality to have your relationship, to be the version of you who's happily, securely in a committed relationship with your specific person, or just, dating or talking, whatever it may be. Also doesn't have to be romantic. I like to remind people of that. SP does not necessarily mean romantic relationship. It means literally any person in your reality that you want to focus on. But it's your identity. What are your inner conversations? What's the inner dialogue? What's the dominant focus? What are you actually thinking and telling yourself, telling your mind regularly, consistently, not just one odd thought here and there, but what is the general theme? Is it positive thoughts and negative thoughts? That is what is reflected into your physical reality, and that quantum shift, the quantum reality that you want, the version that does already exist and contains you in that relationship, it's going to mirror back to you what you focus on. You can't quantum shift, you can't bring in that relationship to you if you're still stuck in the old version. So getting impatient, again, pretty natural. Unfortunately, it does happen, but it's this mindset of being separated, of lack, of not being with your specific person. So saying something like, why aren't they here yet? Where you get impatient. Again, every now and again, it's normal, and it's not a bad thing to think that way, because then you can apply revision. If you see something you don't like, you can literally revise the negative event that just occurred, even if it was a while ago, or literally just applying your mental diet. That's also essentially a revision. You're telling your mind, we didn't see that, we didn't think that, I didn't just have that negative experience. I think positive thoughts because this is my reality. And then you go into your affirmation. So applying some kind of positive mindset shift when you start to get impatient, if those thoughts come up, and recognizing, questioning why aren't they here yet. It's not going to suddenly give you a breakthrough. It's not going to make the law of assumption work faster for you. You're getting into a victim mindset, this really like despondent, despairing type of energy where you can spiral and really just get super frustrated, lose even more motivation. It's not going to benefit you. Again, every now and again, it's totally normal, it's human, but try not to hold on to that energy. And it's literally just usually tied to looking at your 3D and then trying to compare it and say, well, this is what I want, but why am I still experiencing this? Because you're focusing on it, you're asking your mind, why do we have this? So it's going to revert back to that old story a little bit. And also the idea that you might think I need to do more. The 3D sometimes has a bit of a delay. It's not going to instantly reflect exactly what you affirm, unless you're starting very, very small in steps. But yeah, you're believing that you just have to do more, you have to put in even more effort. Sometimes just slow, steady consistency wins the race. So it's not necessarily that you're not doing enough. Just be a bit more patient, trust in the process, understand why you're doing what you're doing and the results that it is building into. Because the more understanding you have, and I do try and delve into all of this in my videos, really simplify the whole process for you guys, and I think I get good feedback on that. So yeah, like this should be reassuring content for you guys and helping you understand even more, maybe a perspective you might not give yourself because we can be hard on ourselves, but knowing that you don't necessarily have to do more. If you're already putting in the effort, you've been consistent, but it hasn't yet reflected physically fully, that's okay. Probably just behind the scenes movement, but just focus on what you're creating, because that's the thing that will guarantee that your physical reality does shift. So final section here for this video, but tying it back to self-concept, think from the version of you who already has it, but the self-concept. So not just affirming, I'm with SP, but what would that version of you look like? You wouldn't be checking their social media constantly. You wouldn't be crying about it. Although if you do want to release your emotions and cry, there's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to withhold your natural reactions, but you're not going to be getting into this victim mindset and staying in that state. You're going to get out of it pretty quick. You're going to just have the self-discipline and willpower to be strong and brave and self-aware to understand, okay, this was a bad moment. XYZ happened, this is what I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to move on and go forward. I'm not going to give up, I'm not going to give in to this, because then that is what is going to slow down your manifestation. But if you say, this is who I am, I'm confident, secure, balanced, desired, valuable, I'm the prize, I'm high value, thinking from the version of you who is already that. You don't need to question yourself or second guess yourself. So think as well about, what would that self-concept actually look like? And just try and let go of this need to see movement, to see the results come in. You don't need evidence or proof. You don't need reassurance. Your own mind gives you that. In life in general, we give ourselves the reassurance, and we are the ones who come ultimately to the, final decision and assumptions that we create. Someone can tell you something 5,000 times, but if you don't align with that at all, you're probably not really going to take it in, and it's going to not harden into a belief, that's for sure. But we are the ones who decide. We have the ability and power to decide. So look to yourself. Don't look to what other people are saying or doing. Focus on what is it that I want with SP? What's going to make me happy? This relationship being, and then describe it and focus on it with your affirmations visually. That's what I'm creating. That's what I deserve. That's what I want. And I don't need to see the movement of that. I don't need to control the movement of that. When the movement happens, I'll see it. Being more patient and going with the flow, understanding how law of assumption will work from point A to the end, from A to Z, right? To the end result. It's going to unfold and come together, but you need to do your own personal part and not worry about the rest of it. So remember that your SP conforms to what you focus on, not your desire or want to be with them, but what you actually think about them. So try and hold on to that and remind yourself that I'll do my best to flip around the negative thoughts, because holding on to the negative and the opposing thoughts, it's not going to benefit me. And remember, with quantum physics again, what you observe is what materializes. The observer, so you, is, whatever the observer is observing is what is the dominant focus. That is what gets created. So where do you put your focus? Where do you put your attention with your specific person, with the concept of dating or relationships? And they have to reflect that by the law of assumption. Whatever you focus on becomes true in your reality eventually. So that is going to be today's video. I hope you guys found that useful. If you did, please do thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.